Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the DFO DFS Hockey Report. It is Thursday, November the 13th. I hope everyone's having a fine Thursday afternoon. We just got a confirmation here. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen starts for Buffalo in Colorado, literally just throwing him to the Wolves. Thank you to our guy Beebs. That one comes in right under the clock. Let's refresh. That should be live on the site now. It is. Beautiful. Love to see it. Okay. Let's go through the goalie. Zach, first, how are you doing today? Another solid night in the DFS streets. Me and you have been joking frequently about how the start of the season went incredibly poorly for both of us, but ever since you paid your dues to the DFS gods, we have been on a tear. So I feel like you might owe me some money for the way the first month went.
Yeah, no kidding, man. It was a brutal start to the season. Like I was telling you about it and the struggles that I was having earlier this year. Before I paid my debt shotgunning that Smirnoff Ice, I had a negative 49% ROI on the season. Ever since I've shotgunned that Smirnoff Ice, I'm up to a 69% ROI on the season. Nice. So yeah, pretty stoked about that, and hoping we can kind of parlay it into some more future success here.
All right, well, noted. If we ever have any debts to the DFS gods, we pay them immediately.
Yes.
You know what's weird too? You paid your debts to DFS gods, and then Ontario's getting DFS back. Like it's something up with that Smirnoff Ice, my guy. All right, let's get to tonight's scores. We got a 10 game slate. Gonna be a lot of fun here today. Tons of great contests on DK this evening as well. We'll start with the Red Wings as they host the Anaheim Ducks. John Gibson gets to start for the Red Wings. We are projecting to see Lukas Dostal, but if I'm being completely honest, I think it's Peter Mrazek tonight. I think Mrazek goes for the Ducks. The betting line doesn't make a lot of sense, and oftentimes whenever the betting line doesn't make a lot of sense, it's usually because the market is so sharp, and they know that it's Mrazek. Like Strom's back, Granlund potentially back, and the market didn't move at all. I think the market's expecting Mrazek tonight. I think I'm willing to put big money down that Peter Mrazek gets the nod for the Ducks tonight for a couple reasons, right? Like obviously he was pretty good this last outing. Dostal got a lot of work at altitude the other night in Colorado. They got a big game in Minnesota in a couple nights. So I think it's a Mrazek night for the Ducks this evening. Levi Merlainen goes for the Senators. It's going to be Jonas Korpisalo for the Bruins. That's going to be the theme of the night. A lot of backups going tonight. Jakub Dobeš gets a start for the Montreal Canadiens. It's going to be Casey DeSmith for the Dallas Stars. Daniil Tarasov goes for the Florida Panthers. Logan Thompson starts for the Washington Capitals. Dennis Hildeby starts with the Toronto Maple Leafs without Anthony Stolarz or Joseph Woll. Also, Austin Matthews is out for this one. Darcy Kemper back between the pipes for the Kings. Jack Reeves starts again. It's like his fourth start in 5 nights or something like that. It feels like it'll be Calvin Picard in the second half of back for the Oilers. Both these two teams just met earlier this week. Both teams third game in 4 nights with travel from West Coast to East Coast. So going to be interesting to see how that game shakes out with all that going on. Dustin Wolf starts for the Calgary Flames. Yaroslav Askarov looks to stay red hot for the Sharks. Mackenzie Blackwood will get the nod for the Colorado Avalanche, as we just mentioned. UPL gets the start for the Sabres. Akira Schmid for the Vegas Golden Knights will go head-to-head with Ilya Sorokin for the Islanders. And then in the final game of the evening, we've got the most lopsided goaltending duel in NHL history, Philip Grubauer versus Connor Hellebuyck. Honestly, like that is hilarious to even look at. I would love to put their like numbers side by side from the last 3 seasons to see what those would look like. So Zach, why don't we get into it? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So either why don't you break down the Red Wings? I'll break down the Oilers.
Beautiful. That sounds great, man. The Detroit Red Wings hosting the visiting Anaheim Ducks here tonight. We've got the Detroit Red Wings as the home favorites, minus 138 on the money line. 3.4 implied total for them, 3.0 for the Anaheim Ducks. Kind of an interesting game across the board here that's really not seeing much ownership. And I've actually got a fair amount of interest in this one here. Detroit 1 grading out really well in the charts tonight is the 3rd best line overall to target on this slate, coming in at $21,500. You got Alex DeBrincat getting bumped up to that top line with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. That's a really interesting line for me. Detroit 2 coming in at 28th overall on this slate. Anaheim 2 grading out 17th overall. Let's be real, a lot of that is just because of Cutter Gauthier. And Anaheim 1 grading out 22nd overall here tonight. The matchups are pretty solid across the board. For both sides here. Definitely got the edge here for the Detroit Red Wings in the highest paced game of the night, even higher than the Colorado Buffalo Sabres game. So I think for one, that's the reason that I've got a lot of interest. 2, the matchup scores are solid for both top 6s here. Detroit 1 going to see 39% of their ice time against the Ducks top line, 33% against the second line. Detroit 2 seeing a lot of their time going up against Anaheim's third line, which has some pretty brutal underlying numbers. Obviously Ryan Strome coming back into into the lineup tonight, going to make his season debut, part of that third line with Frank Vetrano and Mikael Granlund. And then obviously, the top 6 for the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, just look at these stats. They've been tremendous. Cutter Gauthier, again, doing a lot of that heavy lifting for that Duck second line. I know one build I've kind of been doing a lot of lately is just jamming in Anaheim 1 with Cutter Gauthier. Evidently, you get a little bit of extra power play exposure there. And the Ducks power play seems to be, in an okay spot. 11th overall tonight. Detroit's coming in at 10th overall on the slate tonight. So I'm going to have some ownership here in this game. Definitely going to be over the field. I mean, it's really low ownership we're seeing across the board here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when this game kind of shakes out, because to me, it feels like one that could have some offensive fireworks for sure.
Yeah, I was stunned at the ownership being as low as it is for this game, because when you look at it, like, it's not just this game, but like this whole slate is pretty low event outside of Colorado and this game. Like Ottawa, Boston, yeah, okay, some backup goalies, but Ottawa playing extremely low event hockey. Boston, not really a team that generates a lot. Montreal, Dallas should be extremely low event. Florida, Washington should be pretty low event. 2 good defensive teams there. Toronto, obviously missing Austin Matthews. I don't know what's happened to Zach, but see you later.
Give me a second. I'll be right back. There's a car on fire outside of my building.
Oh,
yeah. Give me like 2 seconds.
Godspeed. I will handle the business here. Best of luck there. The Toronto Maple Leafs and LA Kings game could be fairly low scoring. Obviously, the Blue Jackets and Oilers game could be high event. Who knows with the Flames and Sharks? That game could kind of go one of 2 ways, but I lean a little bit more lower event. And same with these bottom 2 games. So with as low event as this entire slate seems, Detroit and Anaheim by far and away one of the highest event games of the night, and one that's going to draw a lot of my interest. Yeah, car fires. Wow. Yeah, nothing, no shortage of fun here on the DFS, DFS Hockey Report. Hopefully everybody is okay outside Zach's home there. But let's get back to the game. I want to see the fire. Yeah, we'll see if Zach can give us some inside scoop. First reporter on the scene, Zach Laing, live from Edmonton. The slate is on fire. Yeah, it's going to be a good slate. Going to be a lot of fun here. I blame Nick. He had the emojis here earlier in the chat. Like, subscribe, join the Discord. I mean, did you see the success the Discord had last night? Yeah, one of the best nights in the league. Much to do with our guy Simon Nemec, absolute grand slam. He was the top value defenseman for us last night, scoring a hat trick. But anyways, back to the game. So yeah, I agree with Zach in terms of like Cutter Gauthier with Anaheim 1, getting that power play correlation makes a lot of sense. You take a look at Leo Carlson right now, just red hot. He's averaging 5.5 shot attempts per game. Cutter Gauthier averaging 7.8 shot attempts per game. So really good floor from those two. Obviously the matchup's pretty good this evening. The underlying metrics, outstanding. Power play correlation here, maybe not the best in the world, or best matchups overall, but I don't mind getting some exposure to this red hot Ducks power play this evening. So really interested in that top line, really interested in Cutter Gauthier from the Ducks side of things. Very low ownership, pretty surprising. The Red Wings, obviously that top line fully loaded, I think is super interesting. I'm willing to pay up to for them tonight for sure. But the other line I'm pretty interested in, at least a mini stack potentially, or one off of just Nate Danielson this evening. Looked really good in his NHL debut the other night. Really strong prospect. He's also going to be up, they kind of, I wouldn't really say it's the top power play unit. It's 2 balanced units, but Danielson will be with the Larkin unit. Casper also seen some exposure with Kane and DeBrincat on that second unit. So I don't mind a Casper Danielson mini stack whatsoever if you need to get some cheaper options in the mix there as well. Zach still not around, so hopefully everything's going okay. So I'll keep going here on my own as the Ottawa Senators host the Boston Bruins. -158 home favorites for the Senators, 3.5 implied total there, a 2.8 implied total for the Boston Bruins. In terms of the line stacks for this one, we've got nothing really grading out tremendously well. Ottawa 3 continues to always kind of be a darling in the charts, but this game not seeing a ton of ownership, I think for pretty good reason at the start of the day. And then obviously now with Maryland versus Korpisalo, it opens things up to be a little bit more offensive for sure. How I'm going to attack this game, I'm not entirely sure. All right, Zach, let's get the inside scoop here. Zach's back. What's going on?
That was wild. I live
did
downtown
it like explode?
Edmonton. I don't even know, man. Like, I was sitting here and I could hear a fire truck pulling up, like outside, and I was like, "Oh man, okay, that's weird." And I looked out. I got a window right here beside me, and I looked down and there was just a car on fire, like under the hood. It was like, oof. So as people are saying in the chat, hopefully it's an omen for this slate being fired tonight.
Or is it a slate that it will be a tire fire?
Ooh, that could be too. Yeah, I was just a little worried for a second there because I didn't, know if the fire was going to spread or anything. And living in a condo, it's obviously not an ideal situation. So, anyways, all good in the hood.
All right, good to hear. Let's keep rolling along. I'm just talking about, I just mentioned that obviously the shot volume from Carlson, Gauthier are just tremendous. I really like Anaheim 1. I like the idea of Anaheim 1 and Cutter. The power play matchup's good. And I also have a little bit of interest in Detroit 3 with Nate Danielson at minimum price and Marco Casper at 4K, a decent little mini sack option. But now we're on to the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins. Really good matchups for the Sens. So I definitely have a little bit more interest in that side of the puck tonight. 83% of that Shane Pinto line is going to come up against Boston one tonight that struggled a little bit defensively. So I think that line has a chance to stay hot potentially this evening. The underlying metrics are pretty good, but they've really had a good job, done a good job putting the puck in the back of the net. But overall, I haven't really had a ton of success playing the Ottawa Senators this year. But one guy that I know will be in my lineups this evening from the Ottawa Senators is our guy, Jordan Spence. He's going to see top 4 minutes tonight with Thomas Chabot out. He's also going to be on that second power play unit. So if you are playing some Ottawa 3, Pinto Spence kind of pair together fairly nicely in like a little mini stack there. Obviously, you can include Claude Giroux at $3,700. Amadio has suddenly gotten pretty hot. So I don't mind Ottawa 3. The rest of this team, I don't know if I'm maybe a little bit of Ottawa 1, but not a ton. How do you feel about the Senators? I probably won't get to much Boston either. I just don't think it's a great pay up night for Pasta, but if I'm off them, you should probably play them.
Yeah, that's totally a fair point, as is usually the case with David Pastrnak. He's got 20 goals and 45 points in 34 games played against the Senators in his career. Boston's been such a weird team. I mean, they're on a little bit of a heater right now. The goal scoring's been solid for that top line. I could see myself getting to a little bit of Pasta tonight. I mean, the biggest issue is just there's not really been a lot of floor from him in the last 10 games played here, not grading out very well from a floor value perspective. So I don't really have a ton of interest in this game here. I think I'll sprinkle a little bit of this Ottawa side of things, get a little Pasta, a little Morgan Geeky maybe, and go from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Any interest in the Ottawa side?
Not really. Maybe a little bit of that Ottawa 3 line. That's really all I can see myself getting to. The underlying metrics are just really kind of falling off a cliff here for this top 6 of the Senators. So not really a ton of interest. The matchup scores are good for sure, but I don't know. Maybe I'll get there a little bit. We'll see how it kind of plays out when I start building. But right now, I don't really envision much ownership there.
Yeah, they have the 7th best power play matchup of the night. That's kind of one thing that bodes well for them tonight, but 2 kind of balanced units. And then obviously this is a team that grades out 20th in the league in terms of 5v5 XG for the Bruins 25th. So not too, certainly not 2 5v5 powerhouses going head to head. Extremely limited pace score, but not as low as this next game. Let's get to Montreal and Dallas.
This looks like an absolute snoozer, an 88.2 pace score. We got the Montreal Canadiens hosting the Dallas Stars tonight, -117 favorites. The Habs are 3.0 implied total for them, 2.9 for the Dallas Stars. Kind of an interesting game. I'm a little bit surprised by how low this pace score is. Evidently, Dallas 1 grading out well, 11th overall. Montreal 1 right behind it, 12th. Dallas 2 coming in 14th.
Are we looking at different charts today? I feel like that's the second time we've had different numbers on where these lines have ranked.
maybe I am. Give me a second. Something seemed a little funky on my
charts. It's just the second time today you said different numbers than I'm looking at. So maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Anyways, while you look it up, I'll take a quick look here. Dallas 1 grades out 13th best. Montreal 1 17th best. The one thing that we talked about the other day, Zach, was, with Dallas in Ottawa, was that was a very low event game too. Dallas is extremely low event this year at 5v5, and they've really had to rely on that power play. Luckily for them, that power play has come through more often than not, and tonight they have the number 1 power play advantage. That's how good that power play's been, going up against a Montreal PK that is 16th best overall with 3.5 implied power plays tonight. We're looking at a pretty good power play matchup yet again for the Dallas Stars. So I think it's going to be kind of the same old thing. It's just a very top heavy lineup. Johnston, Rantanen, Miro Heiskanen's been unbelievable. You can get to Hintz and Robertson for a little bit cheaper exposure, but I'm not that crazy interested in this game, but I will get to some Dallas power play, and that'll probably be the extent of it for me. Zach, you've played a lot more Montreal this year than I have. Are you interested in getting to them tonight with Casey DeSmith between the pipes?
Yeah, I think a little bit of ownership, I think, is something I'm going to kind of toy with for them tonight. Evidently, getting to this Dallas Stars power play just continues to be seemingly a successful strategy. So I kind of like that idea here as well. Kind of going back to the well on that power play and seeing what we can do. Okay, I figured it out. I just had things set up a little bit wrong on my end. So
okay.
That won't happen again, that's for sure. But yeah, nonetheless, I've got some interest here. I mean, this Dallas top six has been still chugging along at a pretty good clip as of late. But again, a lot of that is just from their power play success, the third best power play in the league, the number one ranked matchup on the slate tonight. So I think for me, basically any exposure that I'm going to have to the Dallas Stars will strictly be through the power play unit.
Yeah, like you can see how this is low event, right? Like there's just nothing happening for the Stars at 5v5. And I talked about it. It's got to be just pure coaching philosophy. This was a team that really struggled defensively last year at 5v5. They've cleaned that up a lot. They're the sixth best 5v5 defensive team on the season right now. So in terms of defense, so they've cleaned it up defensively, but it's come at the expense of their offense. And quite honestly, it's a fairly good winning formula if you can limit the amount of production at 5v5 and then just your power play goes out there and just absolutely nukes the other team. These two teams, 5th and 6th in terms of 5v5 expected goals again, so I don't expect many fireworks in this one. Let's get to game number 4, Florida and Washington. Washington's a team that I bet overnight. I think they were like plus 125, and then now with Daniil Tarasov getting the start for the Panthers, they look even better. Still struggling to figure out how, what to make of this Florida team on a regular basis. It's a team that is just very, very structurally sound defensively, both at 5v5 and on the penalty kill. But again, really not generating a whole heck of a lot offensively. This top two lines, the offensive metrics are good. Bottom two lines, terrible. Just a team that's not scoring a ton of goals with Logan Thompson between the pipes. He's just been nothing short of spectacular on a night-to-night basis. Another good night the other night against a very good Hurricanes team. So I'm pretty much not interested in Florida until they have they'd figure it out and start to be a little bit more offensive, or B, they just have really good matchups, and that's not the case tonight. So I'll get to you in a sec to see if you have any interest in Florida. On the flip side, I do have interest in this Washington side with Tarasov getting the start. The metrics, certainly not great, but the top line grades out okay. They're going to see a lot of that top line for the Panthers, which has given up a little bit defensively this year. So with as good as the offensive metrics have been for Washington 1 this season, I'm certainly interested in looking at them and hoping that they can kind of continue their role here. Not very expensive, under $15,000. Tarasov obviously is not Sergei Bobrovsky. Problem here is the Capitals have a terrible power play right now, 28th in the league. So probably limited exposure to this game as a whole. If you want a reason to get to the Panthers, they do have the second best power play advantage of the night. Tons of power play opportunities. So if you want to get to the Panthers power play as kind of a get different spot, I don't mind it. But I just still don't think that you're going to find much success stacking against Logan Thompson. What are your thoughts here on Florida and Washington?
Yeah, that's kind of the issue that I got. I mean, Logan Thompson has just been so good all season long. He's been solid against Florida in his career too, which maybe is a little bit of an understatement. 5 games played, 4 wins, 2.81 goals against average, and a .914 save percentage. So he's been nails against them in his career. Again, Florida's a team, you're left wanting more absolutely from them here, right? And it just doesn't seem like they're kind of figuring it out. I think it's maybe okay to throw a little bit of ownership their way. I mean, that top line has been doing well with Luosterainen, Lundell, and Marchand up there. This second line, it feels like these guys should be doing a lot better. I actually, believe it or not, just dropped Carter Verhaeghe in season long because he is really been, he's been really struggling this year. So I don't know. I don't know if I have a ton of interest. I might get 5% exposure just through the power play and hope that they can, rip it there tonight. I do have interest in this Washington side of things though, for sure, especially with Tarasov getting the start. I'll throw 5% ownership at Washington 1 and 2 here tonight and be good with that.
Carter Verhaeghe still shooting the puck a ton, averaging 5.3 shot attempts per game, shooting just 5%. Is the exact same thing we saw with him last season. Super unfortunate that he got roasted hot in the playoffs. Let's get to Toronto and LA. Just before you break it down here, Zach, just want to bring up the Toronto Maple Leafs lines. As I mentioned off the top, Austin Matthews is out tonight. So John Tavares, William Nylander, Matthew Nyes will be stacked up together on the top line. The rest of this lineup looking ultra thin tonight. On the power play, Oliver Ekman-Larsson remains. Max Domi will replace Austin Matthews on the top unit. This Maple Leafs team, sky is falling seemingly in Toronto right now. People, talking heads in the community have said that this is a team that might not make the playoffs, especially the way things are going right now. This is a Toronto team that is desperate for a win tonight against a Kings team that is, I think, starting to find themselves a little bit. But obviously, with this line fully stacked together, how do you feel about the Maple Leafs tonight?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It feels gross for sure. The Kings are road favorites here coming into Toronto, minus 133 on the money line, 3.2 implied total for the Kings, 2.8 for the Maple Leafs. To be totally blunt, I just don't really know if I have a ton of interest in this game. Okay, it feels like the Kings might be starting to turn the corner a little bit here. Can we really rely on them in a big picture? I'm not sure. Toronto 1 grading out 6th best overall in the charts tonight. Toronto 2 coming in all the way down at 40th overall. LA 2 coming in 16th. LA 1 32. LA 3 33. I mean, it's kind of the same old thing that we see with the Kings. It's like, where do you put the ownership? I think for me, at the very least right now, this second line feels like the one to kind of target, which has been the case for, all of eternity, it seemed like, in the DFS streets. So I think I can get myself to a little bit of ownership here on this Kings second line. Obviously, Corey Perry at $3,900 seems like another solid value play on this slate tonight. Hilarious numbers that he's putting up offensively here with LA to kick things off. I don't really know if I'm going to get much of this Toronto side of things. The matchup scores are pretty tough for them within the top 6. They're a little bit better on the Kings side of things, but not by a whole lot. Just given the struggles that Toronto's kind of going through, though, I think that's kind of the reason why I'm interested in getting to the Kings. Dennis Hill to be getting the start here tonight for Toronto as well, somebody who's certainly gettable. So I can see myself getting a little bit of ownership on this Kings side of things tonight, but really just don't think it's going to be something I'm super heavily invested in.
Yeah, I think with Hill to be starting, I'll probably talk myself into a little bit of LA. The problem is the power play has just been an absolute nightmare. Not that the Leafs PK has been anything special. So yeah, I don't mind LA 2 here at 15,700. You get a pretty good floor with Fiala. Byfield back up on that top power play unit tonight. So I'll get there maybe a little bit, 5%. But yeah, this Toronto 1 line, man, like I just don't really, I feel like they're going to play a ton tonight. I feel like historically when like Matthews is out, the Leafs seem to come together. The problem with that is they don't have also Mitch Marner now, right? Like they're missing Matthews and Marner. I think that is tough. So I think I'll probably get to a little bit of this top line for the Leafs just out of curiosity, somewhat similar to what I did with Tampa last night, right? Like Tampa won, they were chalky. And it was bad chalk, in my opinion. I wasn't a huge fan of seeing their ownership, but this top line might play 23 minutes tonight. Like you know what I mean? Like their usage might just be through the roof with as thin as this lineup is and as desperate as this team is. So I'll probably get there just on that for that reason alone. Just the usage should be pretty good. The power play matchup, though, just disastrous for both of these squads. So Columbus and Edmonton, as I mentioned, this one's going to be really interesting to see like how it works, right? Like these are two teams that like the Oilers are really good offensively when they're at their best, and the Blue Jackets are just downright terrible defensively. So this should be a great matchup for the Oilers. McDavid was able to take advantage of the Blue Jackets the other night. Will that continue tonight in the second half of back-to-back 3 and 4 for both teams? Like that is the one thing that worries me a little bit. But I mentioned it while the car was on fire for you. This slate is pretty thin in terms of like what look like high event games games that are potential barn burners, and this is one of them. So I think if there were more games like this tonight, I would probably drop this game down the totem pole a little bit, but considering it's like one of 3 games that looks like a really good game stack environment, I think it just keeps it on the on the table for me more than it probably should. Perhaps I'm looking into the 3 and 4 for both sides with travel a little too much, but it has the feel of something that could just be like a real sluggy game. So I don't know. How do you feel in terms of just like where this Oilers team is at? Like, yet again, this is now 2 wins in a row where certainly not their best effort, but enough to get the job done.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's some elements of this Oilers team that I certainly feel good about. I think from a DFS perspective, like I said yesterday afternoon, they keep it pretty easy. Edmonton 1, Connor McDavid, Matt Savoy. Edmonton 2, I'm comfortable full stacking them. That's where the most ownership is going on this Edmonton side here tonight. Vasily Podkolzin quietly been finding his way with some solid shot volume as of late. Roslovic on an absolute heater right now. Overtime winners in 2 straight games.
Just say, do we bet automatic Roslovic overtime winner? Or
I mean, it seems like it, right? He could tie an NHL record and an Oilers franchise record tonight. Andrew Cogliano in 2008 had 3 straight overtime winners in 3 games straight, setting the NHL and Oilers record. So Roslovic going for the tie tonight. Let's see what happens. But from a DFS perspective, it's pretty easy to kind of see where to play the Edmonton Oilers here. I have interest. It feels like the game against the Flyers last night was one of the better games that they've played this season. Like, it really felt like they were dictating the pace of play, which isn't really something that they've done a whole lot so far this season. So evidently coming off of a win Monday against Columbus and the embarrassing loss to Colorado on Saturday, maybe the Oilers are starting to turn a bit of a corner here. I'm not going to go crazy with ownership here on the Edmonton side of things. I've got a little interest in playing this Blue Jackets side too, just like 9.4% of the field does with this second line here. I mean, I think that's the one to target here from a Columbus perspective. For sure. Calvin Pickard between the pipes for the Oilers. He has been awful this season, just downright terrible. So I think the Oilers are very gettable here. This kind of like Monday night feels like a game that could be a bit of an interesting game stack potential too.
Yeah, I've been all over this Columbus second line since they moved Voronkov and Marchenko back. I haven't missed a game stacking them, and I've been paid off handsomely in all of them. They've been unreal. 4.77 expected goals for per 60, 40 scoring chances for. Like, they've been great. Certainly playing them here tonight. And then from the Oilers side of things, like with Savoy getting bumped off that top power play unit, it to me, I think it's just like pay up, McDavid, Draisaitl, Roslovic. Like, those are the 3 that I'm going to play. I know you like Podkolzin a little bit more than I do, but like McDavid, Draisaitl, Roslovic feels great to me. Bouchard, you can get in the mix as well. At this ownership level, like, it's far too low yet again. Far too low. So yeah, I'm in. I hope that I'm wrong about the pace of this game. I hope both teams have fresh legs enough to make it another 5-4 fun hockey game. Because I feel like it's pretty easy to look at this game and be like, boy, this is going to be pretty concentrated offensive production from the top line or like the power play of the Oilers, top dogs, and then obviously that second line from the Blue Jackets. That being said, Luca Del Bel Blues, 2,500 gets the bump up to the top line with Monahan and Kent Johnson. I mean, at 11,500, I think there's enough offensive ability on that line to, if the Blue Jackets lose 5-4 again, that line I think can make some noise. Del Bel Blues, pretty good offensive numbers. AHL, obviously Kent Johnson back in the lineup tonight. Sean Monahan is who Sean Monahan is. So I think that line has some value appeal as well. Del Bel Blues, 27 goals, 26 assists in 61 AHL games last year, 5 points in 7 AHL games this year. Also had a decent amount of production during a call-up with the Blue Jackets last year. So a minimum price, like him and Danielson, 2 minimum price forwards tonight that you can kind of just jam in that I don't mind. Any final thoughts on this one, Zach? The power play matchups, number 4 power play matchup on the slate for the Oilers, number 2 power play up against the 30th ranked PK. So much of what we liked on Monday is back again today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, attacking through the power play is certainly a good way to go. Matt Savoy kind of feels like he's starting to find his way just as an overall player right now. Over the Oilers' last 8 games, he ranks first in expected goal share, shot share on the ice, and high danger scoring chance share. So some good underlying metrics, at least for him. Now let's see if he can start to put together some offense. Had a nice assist last night, helped chip in on Evan Bouchard's first period goal. So I think Matt Savoy at 3K is okay to include on those Oilers 1 stacks.
Let's get to the Flames and Sharks.
Yeah, we've got the Calgary Flames hosting the red hot San Jose Sharks. Surprisingly heavy favorites here. The Calgary Flames are. The market really isn't respecting these San Jose Sharks right now because they've been red hot as of late. Flames coming in with a 3.5 implied total, 2.7 for the Sharkies. Calgary 1, Calgary 2 grading out the best in this game, 19th and 25th on the charts. San Jose 2 grading out 30th overall, and San Jose 1 coming in near behind at 31st overall. Taking a look at the matchups in this game, great matchups for the Flames, terrible matchups for the San Jose Sharks. I don't really think that's going to halt me from playing San Jose. 7%, 7.3% of the public is on that top line right now for the Sharks. I'm fine getting there. The underlying metrics for the Flames have been fine defensively. They're still the Calgary Flames, a team that is going to try and play low event hockey. But with the way this top line for the Sharks has been playing as of late, even in a poor matchup here tonight, I've got interest in playing them for sure. Macklin Celebrini drawing a bunch of ownership at 10%. And, the Flames are drawing quite a bit of ownership in their own right. 7% coming in on that second line, the top line for the Flames, seeing about 5% ownership as well here tonight. So seems like an interesting game here to say the least. I'm going to be comfortable getting probably to a little bit of both sides here. I'll probably play a little bit of this Flame side. I know you're the Calgary 2 truther. Matt Coronado really turning a corner here as of late, projecting for 13% ownership tonight. I'm fine playing him. I still love the third line mini stack of Coleman and Backlund. They're one that I keep kind of coming back to.
Yeah, I like Coronado a lot again. That's probably the only line I'll get to. From the Flame side of things, that line has been really, really solid. I've talked about them quite a bit since they've been put together with Frost, Huberdeau, and Coronado. The underlying metrics have been really, really solid for that line. The results have been okay as well, but they're averaging 3.52 expected goals for per 60, 36 scoring chances, 14 high danger chances. They've scored 4.1 goals for. Coronado, a guy that we loved for his shot volume coming into the season, started off kind of the same way he did last year. Shot volume was through the roof, then he got scratched, and he slowly started to find his way back to who he is. Here's his last 3 hockey games. 22 shots on goal, 29 shot attempts. For you counting at home, that's 7.3 shots per game and 9.7 shot attempts per game. So pretty good floor, I would say. But he's converted at just 4.5%. So feels like a guy that should turn the corner here. We see some puck luck go his way. I really like Calgary 2 in this spot. I think it's a solid enough matchup. I'm not going to get crazy with them. I'm not going to get carried away with the Flames. I think that the Sharks are, like you said, I bet on the Sharks to win this game. Very disrespected to the market. We saw a bunch of money come in on the Sharks. They dropped down to like plus 135, and then all of a sudden something flipped the other way, and a bunch of money got poured down on the Flames, and it kind of came back up to plus 145. So I think there's money on both sides. I think that people see this game going both ways here. I think the one, I guess, thing I could say in favor of the Flames is, as good as Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith and company have played, it's a line that's not generating much, man. Like I'm still clicking on them because like they're just making it work, but that line's averaging 2.1 expected goals for per 60, 25 scoring chances, 8 high danger. Like if we were blind ranking lines solely based on the numbers, this line would look terrible. No, you would never play them. So like I want to, because I believe in Celebrini's talent, and even in a game where they had 19 shots against the Wild, they win 2-1, they score both the goals. Like they're still just getting it done, but long term I just don't think it's sustainable, and I think this matchup is good enough. But not great. Like, this is a Flame team that's defending pretty well. I think what makes me still interested in the Sharks is that the Flames penalty kill is just not good, man. Like, it is bad. 26th in the league. Sharks power play has been pretty solid. The Sharks penalty kill has been awful, but the Flames power play hasn't been very good either. So 5th and 6th best power play advantages. I think this game's somewhat interesting. It's, on a night where there's not many games that look high event, I think this one's got potential. But I'm having a hard time clicking on Celebrini on a night-to-night basis, just given the underlying metrics. But I think I'll still do it to a certain extent because he's kind of showed that it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm interested in the Celebrini line. I'm interested in the power plays. I'm interested in Calgary too. But I think you'll be in agreement with Askarov, the way he's playing at $7,100 looks fantastic. Like I mentioned it the other day. His last 4 starts, he's 4-0. I think he has like a 163 goals against average, a 963 save percentage, and he has the second most goals saved above expected in the NHL in November. So he's been unreal. That's like the one thing I'm concerned about with Calgary too, is just how good he's been. And at $7,100, I'm going to be clicking on him a ton tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see myself getting a good chunk of ownership on him for sure. 8.2 goals saved above expected on the season, just an 895 save percentage. So pretty much league average, quality starts in 50% of his games, 28.1 saves per hour of ice time. So he's seeing volume. He's making a good amount of stops, saving a lot of goals above expected. Those are good things that you want to see. Dustin Wolf, pretty much the same save percentage, 893, negative 1.6 goals saved above expected on the year. It's been a bit of a sophomore slump for him, to say the least.
Yeah, like Askarov obviously started off just terrible. But the last 4 games are just bonkers good. Hasn't had a save percentage below 947 in his last 4 starts. Some easier matchups. Obviously, the game against the Avs was insane, but then Seattle, Florida, Minnesota. So I think you got to take it with a pinch of salt, but it's not like this Flames offense is anything to write home about. They're 28th in terms of 5v5 expected goals for per 60 this season. Let's go to Colorado and Buffalo. Zach, I mentioned it to you last night. Looking at this slate, looking at this game, I can't remember who tweeted it out, so apologies. I believe it was a Buffalo reporter said this is like the most scheduled of scheduled losses imaginable. This is like coming in on the second half of a back-to-back after playing in Utah last night, and then now they're going to Colorado. The altitude is probably not going to be very friendly to them. They are just the biggest underdogs imaginable, minus 361 favorites for the Avs. The Avs are running over everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. They don't give a shit. They're going to destroy you. And now UPL getting the start. I saw a tweet yesterday, just like with the way Ellis started last night. It's like, is UPL even going to see the crease again? Like, this guy needs to be put on waivers. He's not been good since coming back to the lineup. Gave up 4 goals on 23 shots, 3 goals on 34 shots against the Capitals, and then 2 goals on 16 shots. So he's not somebody that threatens me in by exposure to the Avs tonight. And I mentioned to you yesterday, like the exposure, or sort of the ownership that we saw in Colorado a couple nights ago, I thought was going to be replicated tonight, and it's not. They are not as high owned as I thought they were going to be. I'm going to be well north of the field. I don't imagine this ownership ends up being legitimate. I don't see that being possible. Like, there's no way Nathan McKinnon's under 25% owned tonight.
Yeah, I'm
especially
not
with Austin
it.
Matthews out.
100%.
I just
only 17% ownership on him. I'm going to be over the field, man. I'm going to eat it all. I'm eating all the chalk tonight on Colorado 1. It just seems like way too good of a spot.
And then Arturi Lehkonen, he's $5,400. He's been unbelievable. Like, why he's still $5,400? I feel like that's actually come down, or maybe just come up a fraction, but he's been incredible. The shot volume's been great. He's got a great floor. The ceiling's obviously good. Oh, by the way, Valer Nichushkin's out and Lehkonen's back on the top power play unit tonight. Gavin Brindley's going to move up into the top 6 for the Avs. There was no solid indication whether or not it would be Brindley or Netjes on the top line. The projected lineup that we got from an Avs beat reporter suggested that it was going to be Netjes on the top line and Brindley on the second line. So I think that second line is pretty viable as well, given the fact that they're only $10,200. Colton, Nelson, Brindley, they've all been playing pretty well. They're all very inexpensive. The matchups here are, not quite as good as Colorado 1, but like there's a ton to like here. The underlying metrics for the second line are still really good. Not quite as good as the top line. Top line also projected for 33% of the ice time, but smashing Colorado 1 tonight, but I think Colorado 2 represents a really nice value option. The power play still sucks for whatever reason, but I don't think that worries me at all. It's, for me, kind of an all-you-can-eat buffet here with the Avs tonight.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm all in here. This seems like just the smashiest of all smash spots. I don't really see any reason to differ from that. Like you said, they've been so good. Nathan McKinnon, 13 goals and 31 points in 19 games against the Sabres in his career. Marty Netjes, 12 games played, 5 goals, 14 points. Arturi Lehkonen, weaker numbers of the 3, just 5 goals and 8 points in 23 games, but he's been incredibly good so far this season. So I'm all in here. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to Colorado 1, probably be over the field on Marty Netjes too. I mean, just 6.3% for him feels a little bit low. Might sprinkle in a little bit on this second and third line as well here, just like the public is, with about 5% ownership. It looks like a really brutal spot here tonight for this Buffalo Sabres team, right? I mean, I don't see how this game really goes any other way.
Yeah, you want to see something fun?
Yes.
This is 5v5 expected goal share in the NHL this year. I just got to pull it up. Where did it go? I got to find it. Stand by. Okay. How about this chart? This is from Sports Logic. Are the Avs any good or what?
I think they're all right.
Like, just on an island all by themselves, just the most dominant team imaginable. Then you got the Buffalo Sabres way down here, giving up a ton, some of the most expected goals against in the league. I just don't understand how this goes any way, but great. I'm assuming you're not playing Buffalo.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. This team is just too beat up right now. I mean, maybe a little bit of Buffalo won, just with the idea of maybe it opens up the game and they're just, totally cheating for offense the whole way. But yeah, I don't really see much more than, a little 5% sprinkle on Buffalo won here.
Let's get to Vegas and the Islanders.
Yeah, absolutely. We have got the Vegas Golden Knights paying host visits. We got the Vegas Golden Knights hosting the New York Islanders.
There you got there.
Minus 177 favorites on the money line. These Golden Knights are 3.6 implied total for them, 2.7 for the visiting New York Islanders. Almost called them the Colorado Avalanche. Get your head on, Zach. Vegas 1 grading out really well in the charts. Second best line to target overall on this slate tonight. Vegas 2 coming in close behind at 14th overall. Islanders top line 28th, 37th for number 2. And the Islanders third line, one I've been playing a lot lately here, coming in as the 43rd best line to target. Matchups in this game, no real surprise in favor of the Vegas Golden Knights. Mitch Marner back up there on that top line. I really like the look of that. That makes it a little easier for me to play the Golden Knights. I haven't played much of this second line this year. They've kind of hurt me more often than not. But I like the idea of kind of getting into some of this top line here. They're going to see 44% of their ice time going up against the top line for the Islanders. The underlying metrics are, they don't look great overall for this Islanders team, but, the goals against numbers have been relatively okay beyond that third line. So I've got some interest here in getting to the Golden Knights for sure. I'll probably be sprinkling in 5-10% in this top 6 for sure. The public is seemingly all over Vegas here in this spot, 10% ownership coming in on that top line, 9% on the second line. I think it's an interesting enough spot. I'm definitely going to get there with some ownership. I just don't know if I'm going to be that heavy on it. I think especially when you look at, Colorado 1 being a lot lower owned than they should. It feels like a good spot for the Golden Knights. But again, it feels like a team that's kind of let me down more often than not this season. This Islanders side of things, this top 9 has been doing well offensively. Nothing like otherworldly or anything like that, but they've been fairly solid. I think you can make an argument for a little bit of this top 6 or this top 9 rather. New York Islanders top line seems like they're in a good spot. You're getting great shot volume this season from Heineman, Horvat, and Palmieri. So that's definitely something you like with a good floor there. And again, this third line, I'm just going to keep sprinkling on here until he starts to turn the corner. That shooting percentage is slowly creeping up to 6.8% this year. But he, again, just tons of shot volume there. I like the mini stacks of him and Pajot for sure.
Yeah, I'm getting an Otters Lee jersey for Christmas for sure. I hope this Vegas ownership sticks because that just means lower ownership on Colorado. But I'm also interested in Vegas, particularly on that top line with Eichel and Mitch Marner. As you mentioned, the power play the 5-5 matchup is good. Power play matchup is fantastic. Their power play has been okay, but this is an Islanders PK that has really struggled. I think the one thing that's kind of keeping my ownership level slightly limited on the Golden Knights tonight is the fact that I mentioned during the month of November, the second highest goal saved above expected was Yaroslav Askarov. Number 1 is Ilya Sorokin. His last 4 starts have been nothing short of spectacular. He has posted a .949 save percentage. Now, faced the Capitals, the Bruins, the Rangers, and the Devils. Some good, some bad. I mean, that was when the Rangers couldn't score on home ice. So take that one with with a grain of salt. But I mean, at the end of the day, he still stopped all 33 shots that he faced. So he's playing really well. And I think part of me has some interest in Sorokin at 7K, the way he's playing, to be a bit of a chalk buster. Like, I think a lineup of like Colorado with Ilya Sorokin, if he can bust some of that Vegas chalk, could be a really interesting leverage option tonight. Again, I'm not gonna hammer him, but like 10% Sorokin in lines that I'm not playing Vegas, I think makes some sense. The way he's playing, I think this is a game that the Islanders could steal. It's possible the way that he's playing right now. So I'm interested, but not crazy. Like I said, Eichel, Marner, they grade out second best. The underlying metrics are very, very solid. The second line, you're going to get Braden Bowman tonight. Interestingly enough, really solid AHL numbers. He's actually going to be on the top power play unit tonight. So they're going to go back to the 5 forward unit. He's not even on the slate though, so you can't play him. He would have been super interesting to full stack with Vegas too if he was on the slate, because they would have all had that top power play unit correlation in a spot here that is a really good power play matchup. I think because he's not on the slate, like if he was minimum price and you could full stack that line for like 13,000, I would have been like, hell yeah, let's fire him up. I'll get to Dorofeyev. That price has come way down. He's cooled off, obviously. Hurdle 57. Like, I think they're a decent little mini stack option at 11,300 with that power play correlation and the power play matchup. So I'll get there a little bit as well. But I agree with you. I think Vegas has been a little wishy-washy and a team that I've had a hard time figuring out. But at the end of the day, 5th best in terms of 5v5 expected goals for, 4th best in terms of 5v5 expected goals against. So really tough matchup here for the Islanders, and it's a Vegas team that's playing pretty good hockey. Let's get to the final game of the night. We've got Seattle and Winnipeg. I've been saying it time and time again. The Winnipeg Jets are not going to be the same team until Dylan Sandberg and Adam Lowry are in the lineup. Well, they are fixed. We've got Dylan Sandberg back in the lineup tonight on that second pairing. Adam Lowry backing up front. Even Gustav Nyquist is back. This team is pretty much fully healthy outside of maybe Morgan Barron on the 4th line center role. But this team is looking healthy. I've mentioned it recently, like Adam Lowry came back. They started to look a little bit better defensively. Sandberg back tonight. They're going to look even better defensively. I think we're going to start to see a lot more of the Winnipeg Jets team that we saw last year moving forward. Obviously, tonight, the matchup against the Seattle Kraken, just literally the worst offensive team in the league. I don't care what these matchups look like. This is not going to be the same Winnipeg Jets team that we've seen throughout this course of the season. I am not playing any Seattle tonight. I think that Connor Hellebuck is, I'm a little concerned about maybe the volume is potentially not going to be there. Now they're getting better defensively, but at $8,100, I think he's in a great spot to give up like 1 goal tonight. This looks about as winnable of a game as there is on tonight's slate after Colorado when you factor in Hellebuck versus Philip Grubauer. I think that is as big of a mismatch between the pipes as you'll find. So I'm really interested in this in Hellebuck tonight. As for the stacks up front, you've obviously got that top line playing at an extremely high level right now. But this is a Seattle team that defends very well. For everything that they don't do well offensively, they do pretty well defensively. So I probably won't get a ton of exposure to this Jets top line. They always kind of need to have a great power play matchup. Tonight's power play matchup isn't too bad. They're facing the 23rd ranked PK, 69% of the penalties killed. So the power play matchups there, I'll certainly have some exposure to Winnipeg 1, but it's going to be somewhat limited. Like I feel a little bit better about like the Colorado, Anaheim, Detroit, Vegas spots. This would probably be like probably even Edmonton in Winnipeg. So I think this would probably be like 7th in the pecking order for me tonight. How about you?
I'm going to be a little bit higher, honestly. I mean, 3.7% ownership is pretty low for this Jets top line. They've really been tremendous as of late, continuing to be. Mark Scheifele maybe cooling off a little bit as of late here, but, they don't have like the greatest matchup on the power play overall, just at 9th best. That's largely, I think, because the Kraken just take so few penalties. But, you got the number 5 power play in the league going up against a 23rd ranked penalty kill. 69.8% is the Kraken penalty kill. So I like the look of it from the power play stack perspective as well here. Obviously you get that full correlation on the top line. So I could certainly see myself getting to 10%, maybe even a little bit more there. Like I feel better about playing Winnipeg 1 than I do playing like Vegas 1 or Vegas 2 tonight.
Yeah, I can see it. Like I don't disagree with you. this power play matchup's interesting. And I think one thing we've talked about is the Jets' top line really was relying on that just on the power play. But the numbers have really started to come back to life for them, as you might expect they would. 2.97 expected goals for per 60, 33 scoring chances. And yeah, like I really like them as a leverage option, because if you get to, like I was thinking 10%, and that's what you said. I think if you get to 10%, and they're only 3%, I think you're in a good spot. This is Philip Grubauer after ball. He's terrible. Yeah. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's get to the defensemen and the goalies. We've had a lot of comments about Simon Nemec today. Somebody in the Discord said that they're expecting nothing less than 35 points from our top value defensemen tonight. So we got to pick wisely. Tonight, I think it's Jordan Spence, dude. I think it's Jordan Spence. I mean, he is almost exactly what Simon Nemec was last night. Second power play unit, top 4 defenseman, cheap, gonna play extra minutes. I think it's Jordan Spence tonight. That's who I'm clicking on with some regularity this evening. Some other guys that really stick out to me as well. Rasmus Anderson, $4,400. As you say, to take a page out of your book, just does a lot of shit. Brent Burns, he's been solid. He's, with the injury to Valenchushkin, I think that opens up a little bit of power play time for him on that second unit. Matt Roy is going to see a lot of ownership tonight, but for a good reason. He's been doing a lot of shit, as you say. Brant Clark's been great at 4K. Don't mind getting there. Noah Hannafin in a good matchup. Very, very cheap at $4,300 as well. I'll leave the Oilers defenseman to you because I know you'll get there. Denton Matejchuk, $3,200. I don't think he's on the top pair anymore. I think they switched it up, which opens things up. I'll basically play whoever is skating with Werenski, and I think it's Provorov tonight. Yeah, it is. And again, Provorov, a guy that just does a lot of shit. We should just get shirts that say "Trust in the Charts" and does a lot of shit. Although that wearing a shirt that says "does a lot of shit" might not. Might not be cool in public, but $3,600. Ivan Provorov in a good matchup there, I think makes sense as well. Anybody that I've missed so far?
A couple other shit doers that I like tonight. Jacob Trouba been doing a lot of shit lately. I think he looks to be in another good spot here tonight in a really high-paced game against the Detroit Red Wings. Matt Roy, you mentioned him. Brandon Carlo blocking a lot of shots lately. You like to see that there. Once again, Edmonton Oilers defensemen look like they're in good spots. Darnell Nurse, Matthias Ekholm, Jake Wallman, Evan Bouchard leading in the shit-doing category. So I think some solid options there on the blue line for sure. But, there's even cheap guys like Sam Malinsky, min-price, that looks like he's in a pretty solid spot tonight. Connor Timmins at $2,600. Matthias Samuelsson, what is his salary at? Like at $3K still? I'm shocked his salary hasn't been climbing just because of his usage as of late. I really like him at $3K as well.
Apparently I am the cheap defenseman whisperer. I do feel like this is definitely one of our stronger suits for sure. Must like Makar tonight. Yeah, absolutely. We always talk about the cheap guys, but the expensive guys are obviously playable. Makar is a great spot. Tremendous option tonight. I think Werenski's a good option tonight in a high event game there. I think Bouchard's a good option. You talk about does a lot of shit. Wallman. I really like Miro Heiskanen, one of the best power play matchups on the slate. He's been unbelievable. I'll keep clicking on him until he's above 66K for sure. Don't mind Jacob Trouba, $4,400 as well. Matthew Schaefer in a decent game there. He's been solid. A lot of options tonight. One name to keep in mind tonight, Thomas Harley is kind of questionable this evening. So just keep that in mind. Let's just see who is our cheapest power play quarterbacks this evening. It's got to be like Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Yeah, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Bowen Byram, both decent options tonight as well. I don't mind Seth Jones, pretty good power play matchup there as well. Let's get to the goalies. Talked about a few already. Mackenzie Blackwood, I don't think it's really necessary to pay up, but decent cash options. I think they're going to lock down that victory pretty easily. Somebody pointed out in the chat earlier, the odds are worse to bet Colorado -2.5 than some teams at -1.5 tonight, which is just outrageous. Akira Schmidt, I think that's just a little too expensive. Hellebuck, I already mentioned, absolutely love him tonight. Probably going to get down to Logan Thompson as well. Like for me, it's going to be some Blackwood, some Hellebuck, some Thompson, some Askarov, and Sorokin. That's going to be my 5. And so far, the goalie's been going pretty well this week for me. So I'm going to be interested there in those 5. How about you? Anybody different?
Not really, actually. I'm kind of in full agreement with you on them.
That's
Jet
never
Greaves, good. I know. Jet Greaves grades out well from a value perspective, but, the Blue Jackets are playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. Jet Greaves is also playing his 3rd game in 4 nights. This guy's going to be exhausted.
Yeah.
can't imagine it being a fun spot for him. You talked about Sorokin when we were talking about that Golden Knights game earlier. His numbers against Vegas are really good. 7 games played. He's got 3 wins, 2 of them being shutouts, a 196 goals against average, and a 939 save percentage.
You love to see it.
You love to see it. He doesn't grade out well from a value perspective, obviously, but just seems like a great spot. You could probably talk me into a little bit of Jakub Dobish too at $7,600. I think he's a fine play. Should see some volume tonight from those Dallas Stars. So definitely some interesting options here on the slate tonight.
Let's get to Peter Porker said, let's get to the top stacks I got here late. Here we go. I think we're both, I get nervous when we both are like, this is an absolute smash spot. I feel like those never work out, so I'm terrified tonight. But love Colorado, love Vegas, love Winnipeg. Those are our top 3 on the charts. I think that they're among our top 3 as well. Really big on Anaheim. I don't know so much about Anaheim 2 full stacks. Like, they're fine, but I'm mostly interested in Anaheim power play, and Anaheim 1 and Cutter, like you said. Detroit 1 grades out really nicely. I think that Edmonton power play is great. I don't really like full stacking any 5v5 Edmonton lines. I love Columbus 2 tonight. I really like the charts this evening. I think the Dallas power play is an interesting low-owned spot tonight as well. Vegas 2 grades out pretty good. I talked about Calgary 2 looking really solid as a value option. I like Colorado 2 as a value option tonight as well. Anybody I missed that you really like tonight?
I think you kind of nailed it, actually. Summed it up pretty well there. Wow. I think there's a lot of interesting spots tonight. This ownership number on Colorado 1 still seems too low for me. I like Ottawa 3 as a value option. Calgary 1 seems okay from that perspective as well. Islanders 3rd line, I'll sprinkle a little bit there. Calgary 3 a little bit too. Lots of interesting spots, I think.
Hat-trick pick challenge. If you want to participate in today's hat-trick pick challenge, all you got to do is drop a hat-trick pick in the comment section of the video on YouTube. If your player scores a hat trick, we'll get you a $25 gift card to Nation Gear. If somebody scores a hat trick, which happens every night this season, and nobody picks that player, we will raffle it off to anybody who submitted a pick. Already for tomorrow, we got to give away 2 for Patrick's that we've missed. Plus, we give away a free $25 gift card to Nation Gear for anybody that comments in the live chat during tomorrow's show. So there's going to be at least three $25 gift cards given away tomorrow, potentially 4 if somebody scores 1 tonight and nobody picks them. I'm going first because I've let you go first way too many times this year. I'm going Arturi Lehkonen.
I like that option a lot.
Hold on. Before you pick, if you don't pick Jordan Spence, he'll be disappointed. Just saying.
I'm leaving it for somebody in the chat, actually.
Okay.
So, letting somebody else have a good day. I'm going to go with Jumpin' Jack Flash, Jack Roslovic.
Oh, you know what? It's so funny because like a half hour ago when we were breaking down the Oilers game, that's who I was going to pick. And then I saw Lehkonen at $5,400 and it's just too good. Shout out to our friends at Roto Grinders for providing projected ownership for today's show. If you want to get $20 off your first month of Roto Grinders Premium, link in the description of the video on YouTube will get you there. You can also get 20% off your first month of Action Network Premium. If you want to up your betting game with Action Network Premium, 20% off there. And as always, the link to the DFO DFS Discord is in the chat or in the comment section. Join the Discord, grows every day. Last night, the Discord just absolutely popped off. I mean, what's better than a 9% hat trick from Simon Nemec? You just absolutely love to see it. Let's go. Big 10 game slate tonight. Enjoy it. Hopefully return with more money in bankrolls tomorrow than you had tonight. Until Friday, we say cheers.
Cheers.